Hi, welcome along to Barbecue Life UK, where great barbecue doesn't have to cost a fortune. Today we're doing a review of the Inkbird temperature controller. So we're going to jump straight in. I'm going to show you what you get in the box. So it comes in a really nice little carry case. If we unzip that, so you unfold the top here, you've got your hose, and then here is where you keep your leads. So you have a long probe for going into your meat. You've got a shorter probe as well, and then up here this is your little clip that clips onto your grill grate. So this is what monitors your ambient temperatures. Bit of velcro, pull that over, and then this side you've got the fan itself plug, because it is mains, and then these are your adapters, so they fit into your kamado, a couple of different sizes, and go through the measurements on those in a minute. And then these are some clips so that you can adjust the sizes on these. So let's show you the measurements on the two adapters. So this is your large one, so its length is 7 centimeters in length, and then in height, well, it's probably width actually, is 4.2. so that is the larger one. And then the smaller one, its width is 2.2, and then the height is 5 centimeters. So as I said, you also got these couple of little clips in there as well. So what these are designed to do is they slide on the top or the bottom, depending on which way you want to do it. They clip on, and they give you an extra bit on the top, so you can see it just sort of clips on there like that, and it gives you some adjustment in the height. So I have to use this on the Aldi kamado. So these measure 2.3, so that just gives you that extra piece of height and adjustment. So this sits inside the bottom vent with this part sticking out with the hose attached to it, and you slide this up so that it sits inside the vent, and then the air is sucked or pushed in this way by the fan and into the bottom of the firebox. So yeah, very handy to have them adjusters in there as well. I'll pull them bits away. So next up, I want to show you the app working itself. I've already got that set up on here. So it's really easy to use, and as you can see, I'll bring it up on the screen share it for you. Once you've got it set up, you click on the 3 little lines, and then that takes you into the setup itself, where you can change the temperatures that you want. So I'm going to change it to 150, and then the reminder temperature down here is when you want an alarm to go off for if it does get too hot. So I set that at 165, 15 degrees above, and you go back a screen, and the next piece down is your probe that goes into your meat. So if you click on the little temperature symbol, and you can see I've had it set up for pulled pork before, so I'm just going to click on beef and medium rare, so it comes up 54. So that's the default for it. If you click on custom, you can then adjust that, so you can take it down slightly, and this helps you allow for your carryover. So I tend to take medium rare to 51, and then it gives me a couple of degrees carryover. So yeah, it's a clever piece of kit. I've used it a few times now. The first time I did use it, I got the kamado too hot to begin with. I had too much charcoal in there. I had the lid open for too long to begin with. So then when I put the fan on at the bottom, it was too hot. So as you know, once things are too hot, they're really hard to get down in a kamado, so it just kind of ran away with itself. I think where there was so much lit charcoal in there, it was just pulling the air through the fan housing down the bottom without the fan going. The fan set gone to 0 because the temperature is higher than it needs to be, but it was just pulling the air through there and running it straight out the top. So I also learned that you've got to make sure you set your top vent quite shut, especially if you're doing low and slow. So I tend to set the top vent now how I would if I was just using the bottom vent as normal. Otherwise it can just pull that air through. So keep the vent down low, and when I done my next low and slow, it worked a lot better. I hardly had any charcoal lit. It was pretty much as soon as I had them woodies go out, I attached a fan and it worked itself really well. Took it up, and the fan slows down the closer it gets to the temperature that you've set it to. The fan slows down, slows down, slows down, and then goes completely off, and it just sits there, waits for the charcoal to die down and the temperature to die down, and then it kicks back in and brings things back up. So it does fluctuate. You will slightly overshoot the temperature that you've set in there, so I suggest setting it sort of 10 degrees lower than what your cooking is that you want to be cooking at, because it does tend to overshoot just slightly. When it gets to that temperature and it shuts the fan off, you've still got all that charcoal in there glowing really well, and that just brings it up and over. But if you set it 10 degrees lower, that coming up and over tends to hit that point that you want it to hit to, and then it will drop back down and the fan will come back on, drop back down and the fan will come back on, and it works incredibly well. I've also used it on hot and fast. So I did smash burgers last night, where I set the fan to about 230 degrees, and it was just blowing in there nicely. So as soon as I had the temperature start to drop, it just blew in there, got everything up to temperature again, kept that still smoking plancha that I use for my smash burgers, just kept it nice and hot in there. One thing that you do need to remember is that when you open your lid, that little ambient temperature probe gets colder, so then the fan kicks in. So there is a pause function. You can, I'll take it out, if you click this button and hold it for about a second, maybe a second and a half, it will pause the controller itself so that it doesn't register that temperature has dropped and then just start blowing air in there, because then you are going to overshoot your temperatures. So anytime before you open the lid, you need to pause it, do what you need to do, shut the lid back down, and then I want to leave that 2 minutes or so before I turn it back on, because you've got to wait for that ambient temperature probe to come back up to the temperature that the barbecue is actually sitting at. If you shut the lid straight down and unpause it, it will go, okay, I need to be at 110 for low and slow. I've dropped down to 74 because I've had the lid open. So now I've got to turn the fan back on to get it back up to 110. But the barbecue is sitting at 110. You've just not given it time for the ambient temperature probe to get to where the actual ambient temperature is. So then you're going to blast a load of air in there, and it's going to get really hot really quickly. So you don't want to be doing that. If you've got issues with Wi-Fi, like myself, I still struggle with Wi-Fi out in the shack. Smoking Q's, Matt over at Smoking Q's has helped me out massively here, and I still can't get the Wi-Fi to work properly in the shack. So when I'm using it, I'm not tending to actually use that app. But you can take the controller inside, set the app up where you want to, and the controller remembers what you have set it to. So it will say 110 for low and slow, that's C. It will remember that. It will remember that you've set your reminder for 120 degrees C. So the alarm will go off if it starts to creep over that, and the alarm will go off on the main unit as well as on your phone if it is connected to the Wi-Fi. If you've got real issues and you can't connect the unit to the Wi-Fi, you can just set it up manually. It is quite easy. You click that center button, you take it, it then comes up with a menu where it says barbecue. You click on barbecue, and then you roll the center around. You roll this, and it will change the temperature on the display, and then you click it at the temperature that you want it to be set at, and the fan will just automatically come on. So you don't have to have it connected to your phone. If you haven't got any Wi-Fi out there, then you're gonna still be able to use this. You're just not going to be able to monitor the temperatures on your phone indoors, you're going to have to keep coming out and keeping an eye on where your probes are. Now back to the Wi-Fi. I did have a small amount of trouble setting this up to the Wi-Fi. It only runs Wi-Fi on 2.4 Hertz instead of the 5, I think it's 5.1. So I did have to play around with my settings in my phone to make sure that this app will work on the slower Wi-Fi width, because the app isn't supported running at the faster one. So I was trying to sync it and it kept not doing it, so I had to go into my settings and have a play around with how to do that. Ideally you want to be setting it up to an old phone anyway, because then you've got your old phone, which is what I've done. This is my old smashed up phone from before the one that I currently use, and I've got it set to that so that I can leave that phone outside if I want to, and then I've got my other phone about to do whatever I want to be doing, checking Facebook, filming, or taking photos of my cooks. So yeah, I do recommend setting it up to an old one, and I was quite lucky that the old one was already set up on the 2.4 Wi-Fi band rather than the faster one. So that's about it. There's not a lot more to tell you. I'm thoroughly impressed with it. I've only had it about a week. I was lucky enough that Inkbird sent this over to me at the Black Friday discounted price before Black Friday, on the condition that I got this video out for you guys as soon as possible, ready for Black Friday. So I do know that this is going to have 30% off it in the Black Friday deals starting Monday, and I believe it might have even gone live sooner than that. So you are going to save yourself a fair chunk of dough. It's £200 full whack, and I believe it's gone down to about 140 quid. So £60 off is a massive amount of money, especially when you're a dad with 3 children and Christmas is coming up. So, and while Christmas is coming up, speak to the missus, see if you can get it put on your Christmas list, and then you've got it ready for the new year. But thank you to Inkbird for letting me have that discounted price. I thoroughly enjoy using this, and I hope you're going to too. If you like what we're doing here at Barbecue Life UK, then please do subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.